Welcome to She's Crafted to Thrive, a show for women in photography and other creative businesses. You will hear conversations about the real everyday struggles of juggling life and business while trying to maintain passion and balance. As women, we have the skill of getting things done, but sometimes we get in our own way. It's here where you'll see that you're not alone. You'll discover that success does not mean perfection. Fear, negative thoughts, and challenges are all part of the journey. On the podcast, you'll find the inspiration and tools you need to have a life and business that thrives. On this episode of She's Crafted to Thrive, our guest is TeAirra Mitchell, a family photographer who shares how learning to value yourself can increase your confidence in your business. I love this conversation with TeAirra because we talk about all these sweet, amazing stories and all these golden nuggets that I think you'll love. So be sure that you listen all the way through because there are some great ideas on how to really stay authentic and provide value to your customers, especially in the family niche. All right, I'm super excited to have TeAirra Mitchell on She's Crafted to Thrive. She is an amazing photographer. She does beautiful images of women and their children, and they're super cute. I just love them. And if you haven't read her blog, you must read it. And I'm just super excited to have her on. So TeAirra, please tell us a little bit about you.
Hi. So I live in Oakland, California. Came here when I was a little girl, and I am a mom of two. I've been married for 5 years to my best friend, and he helps me run my business. He's a big part of TMP, TeAirra Mitchell Photography. And I specialize in maternity and newborn images because I just, like you said, I just love the little babies and bellies, and I can't help it. So I wanted to specialize in maternity and newborn for that reason.
That is awesome. Yeah, your images are gorgeous, girl. They're beautiful.
Thank you.
And they look like so relaxed and comfortable. Like I don't feel like they look like, some maternity pictures and baby pictures look a little awkward to me sometimes. So really enjoyed like how natural yours are.
It's interesting you say that because I do a lot of posing.
Well, that means you're doing really good. Not everybody can pose in a natural way, so that's amazing.
Thanks.
So, this podcast has always been about, and it's going to be about the women in these businesses and what inspires them. So I always love to start off by asking, why did you pursue this path in life? What led you to your photography business?
Okay, so it's kind of a loaded question.
I know.
Since I was a little girl, I had a camera in my hand, and my mom had bought me this little toy pink camera. I still remember it was those wind-up cameras, and I would literally carry it everywhere. And she got sick and tired of having to go get the film developed because I would just have rolls of film. And even as a child, there was just something about capturing like joy in the moment. Like I would watch my little sister play with my cousins and stuff, and I would just want to get those genuine laughs. And I loved showing them to my aunts and my mom, and look how happy everybody looked. And that just always stayed with me. And even as a teenager, I got my first digital camera, and I take it to school all the time. I had so many cameras stolen in high school because everyone knew I kept a camera on me. And so when I was pregnant with my first child, I decided, okay, my baby's coming, and I really want to pursue this photography thing. At the time, I thought the only way to become a photographer was to work for someone else. So either, a magazine or a newspaper or something. And I just happened to Google how to be a photographer, and all these blog posts on people starting photography businesses popped up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can start my own photography business. And so that was literally how it started. And it took some years of research and stuff. I didn't actually launch my business until my baby was 1.5. And at first I was just taking pictures. And it wasn't until I realized I regretted not taking my own maternity photos. I was very afraid of the camera when I was pregnant. And, do you have any kids, Nikita?
I don't have kids. I have friends with kids.
Okay. So when you're pregnant, your body changes, not just your belly, but like you swell in all these other places you never think of.
Right.
You don't feel like yourself. And so because of that, I refused to get in front of a camera. Like, I didn't even want people taking pictures of me at my baby shower. But then looking at my baby when she was 1, I was like, man, she's grown so much and I miss being pregnant. I really wish I would have taken those photos. And from there, it was a passion to show women, your body is beautiful when you're pregnant. You might not think so, while you're pregnant, but one day you're going to look back and be like, man, that was amazing. And I wish I could kind of relive it. And so that was how I came to start a maternity and newborn portraiture business, because I wanted my portraits to not only focus on giving these moms beautiful images of themselves and their babies, but for them to understand and see for themselves how beautiful their bodies are, and as a way to celebrate their bodies.
Gotcha.
That's how I got started.
Wow. Yeah, and that's pretty cool. It's so interesting that you said that, looking back. It's always that looking back that gets our minds thinking about things, like, man, I wish I had done this, or I wish I did this more. And I know what you mean. I'm feeling comfortable with, like, how you look.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want nobody else to see these pictures ever again. Like, I don't want nobody to be witness to this ever again. But,
and then it's not that bad when you look back. Like, I look at the pictures now and I'm like, what was I tripping off of? It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's like, well, and you're pregnant, so it's like, that's okay. Like, that's, even if you're not, I think it's just the world right now that we live in. Especially for women, we're constantly bombarded with what we should or shouldn't any stage of our life. So capturing those moments when you aren't maybe feeling the most beautiful are probably the times when you are the most beautiful, because you're so vulnerable.
And you're so vulnerable, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to get in a little bit more about what is it about photography that drew you from such a young age? I mean, I know you were saying you like to capture the joy. How does that translate to your business now? Like, how does that really connect with you now?
Because photography is the only way you can make time stand still. And it's so hard for me to find the words to describe it, because I feel like it's just this magic that you can't get from anywhere else. Like, yeah, you can make home videos and stuff, but I think even in the videos you get so caught up in watching that you can't take the time to really sit there and look at this moment that happened and to take in all the emotions. One of my favorite photos is from a hospital session I did for a client of mine who had a C-section. And this baby was their last baby. They were so hoping for a girl, and they got this little boy because they had 2 boys already. And but what made him, when she saw his hair, he had red hair, and she chose the name Rowan because it meant little red-haired boy. And she had no idea he'd come out with red hair. When she saw him with red hair, like the look on her face, the whole time she was just staring, and she was just like, oh my gosh, he came out so perfect.
Aww.
And you can see that in the way she was looking at him and just gently touching his hair. And people looking and not knowing that story may not be able to get those emotions from first glance.
Right.
But as a mom myself, I know that every time she looks at that, she's going to relive those exact emotions.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that was why, even as a child, that was what I was trying to capture. I wanted people to be able to look back at this precious moment in time, whatever it may have been, and be able to just relive those exact emotions and get all the feels from it all over again. It's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly. No, I know what you mean. That's so true. You look back at pictures. I look back at things all the time, and my husband, and we're just like, you remember that time? You just literally, it's almost like if you were watching a video, you've replayed it, and now you're in it again. Like, it brings back all those emotions and those feelings.
it really is a gift to capture those moments for sure. So, how would you describe your business? I know it's so funny because you were talking about starting and thinking you were going to work for someone, but then just, Googling and like, oh, I can start my own business. Which is funny to me because I don't think I ever thought anybody would think that way, because I guess for myself personally, I have always been kind of like, I don't want to work for nobody. Like, that's just, it's interesting that that's your story, where it's like, yeah, I wanted to do photography. I thought that meant I needed to work for someone. When you looked at Google, were you like, oh my gosh, I got to do this by myself? Were you feeling overwhelmed? Were you like, what were your emotions when you realized, oh, I could do this by myself, or I could work for someone?
At first, I was just excited. I didn't want to work for anybody. I really didn't. But I wanted to be a photographer, so I didn't care if I had to work for someone to be a photographer, because I just wanted to do it that bad. So when I realized I could start my own business, I was like, perfect, here we go. Then getting into the whole business setup and stuff, it didn't get overwhelming until most photographers reach this point where you no longer be shoot and burn because
right
out,
Yeah.
And that's when I panicked, because I was like, oh my God, I have to raise my prices. What am I going to tell my clients when I raise my prices? And girl, like I did your Excel sheet where you list out your expenses and everything and the time and all that. And when I saw those numbers, my heart dropped, because I was like, I can't tell people that I'm going to charge them this much.
Yeah.
And so that's where like I feel like I started to find myself in photography, because you have to see your value first.
Right.
Before you expect anybody else to see that value.
Yes.
And so when I tell you my husband had to put me in the mirror and make me stare at myself, I'm getting emotional.
Aww.
And tell me, I'm a great photographer. I give a great gift to my clients and they love me for it. My session fee starts at $250 and everything is sold separately. And I broke down the first time because I was just like, I cannot charge people $250 plus additional products. Like, they just want their pictures. And so it was tough. And looking back, it's interesting to see how when I didn't value myself, my business wasn't moving at all. I wasn't getting inquiries, barely getting any bookings, and trying to do free this, free that. And so learning about valuing myself and being confident in who I am, and really, that's why I love your podcast, being crafted to thrive.
Yeah.
Because we each have a gift. And I think because we spend so much time in our own gift, we forget how special it could be to someone else, who doesn't get to experience that daily. So in growing my business, I did have to step back and really think about who TeAirra was and what TeAirra had to offer these moms who were trusting her with these precious moments, because you can't redo a newborn shoot because that baby will never be that little again.
Right.
It was such an amazing process just to realize that I had a gift to give, and that this gift was priceless to a lot of people, so they didn't care how much they had to pay for it. As long as I gave them the best of me, they were happy to.
Wow, that is such a powerful statement. That's part of the reason why I love doing this. I love doing podcasts because of this, because I feel like the women that are doing well in any creative business have had that moment where they've had to have the real hardcore come to Jesus moment, if you will. Like, who am I? What am I doing? Do I believe in me? Because especially in photography, I feel like you have to believe in your art. It is an art. I think that's a hard thing too for some photographers to feel like it's an art and not like this professional. I mean, it is professional, but like not like this thing you go to school and you learn There's a reason why there's different styles and different angles that people take, and why different people like your photography. People don't like your photography.
Mm-hmm.
It's an art, and it all starts with how you craft your life, like how you craft who you want to be to your clients and who you want to come off in your life. Like, who are you? And I think it's beautiful that your husband, my husband is too, is like, hey, you are amazing and you are great. And I'm not just telling you that, other people have told you that. We have to see outside of ourselves. And I think it's beautiful that you have a cheerleader that's doing that for you,
Yeah, no, honestly, TMP wouldn't exist without him.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. My husband and I have been married 10 years in September.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. And we're always looking back and just cracking up about things. And it's so funny how we kind of bounce off of each other. He's a tech guy. He's like in the tech world. And I'm always telling him, no, you think you think everybody knows what you're saying, but they don't. And I think in photography, we think, oh, everybody can just take a picture. Everybody can take a picture, but not everyone can take a picture the way that you take a picture, or that you capture that moment, and the way that you edit it, and the way that you pose it, and the way that you put the props, you put everything together. Not everyone's going to do it the way that you do, because there is only one you. And I think we take that for granted.
Yeah.
So what do your clients know you for? Like, what are they most, like, if they were to say like TeAirra Mitchell is, what would you think they would say?
No. So my clients know me for my bubbly personality. I truly feel like there's no way you can get great photos if the whole time we're just stuck up and strict, session. So I like to get to know my clients, and then it's more of being friends, because honestly, the way my style is set up is I would like to see you unfold in front of my camera. And so in the beginning, it's usually awkward, especially if it's our first time meeting, because my camera's gigantic and there's a big camera in your face. And you can feel the awkwardness, but then, like, I always make sure I peek from behind my camera and talk to them. Like, there's a story behind this person, and that story has to translate to the photos, but it's not going to translate if I don't connect with my client.
Right.
So I do feel like my clients know that they have a friend in me. Usually we end up talking after the shoot, when we get together for coffee, or they have kids, most of them have kids, and we get the kids together from time to time. So my clients know I'm very family oriented, and I like to serve with love.
I love that. I think that's a good place to serve from. Yeah. It's a good place. So how do you keep your business? Like, do you get a lot of referrals? Do you do a lot of word of mouth? Do you do like sessions where you do where they different periods, like after, do you just do the maternity sessions and then do like family portraits, or you really just stick in these two genres?
So I don't just stick to the genres. Ideally, in a perfect world, in business you have your marketing avatar.
Right.
In a perfect world, I would meet my client when she's engaged, because I love capturing wedding. I love capturing love, honestly. And so at every wedding, I get all choked up, and then I'm a mess editing the pictures. Because I'm like, oh, it was such a, and then this time, and so, but really, I say I like to capture her engagement, because then not only do I get to work her wedding, but more importantly, after marriage comes baby most times. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to be there for. And I think it would be amazing if by the time I get to do her maternity portraits, we've already done engagement, wedding, maybe another boudoir shoot or something for an anniversary, that created the baby pretty much. So then by the time she's pregnant, we get to like live this moment together.
Right.
Because I offer baby plans, so where I capture your maternity and in the first year of baby's life. So we're going to be seeing each other for a long time.
Right.
And having that connection, it just makes it even more fun, because then, I feel like the moms trust me more with their baby. Mm-hmm. And then they're a lot more relaxed. And when moms relax, babies relax.
Yeah.
Everything just goes real smooth from there. And then, babies grow up, which means family sessions. And I love family sessions because of that, because I get to see my clients again and again. And, we talk about, remember when they were a baby and they would make that face? They'll make that face.
Right.
And being able to be a part of their family, Yeah. So I'm very happy to give my clients what they need. Gotcha. And if that means I have to do a family portrait for an extended family, then I'm there to do it because they're like my family. And I just for them.
Yeah, I think too, especially in this niche, I think in any photography business, because unless you're doing like real estate photography, it's a relationship that over time, especially when it's something so intimate like a wedding and then maternity session, like they're so intimate, like you have to be really comfortable with the person who's shooting you.
Yeah.
Trust them. So you have to really build an authentic relationship with your clients. So how do you stay connected like that? I know I coach a lot of different photographers, and I think this is the piece that they just, I don't know why. It's so funny to me that they have a hard time connecting to outside of being behind the camera. So they might be, in the moment of taking the pictures and everything, they can connect. But once that moment is done, it's almost like, I don't know what happened. So I still try to understand each person is different, but something happens where they disconnect from the actual staying in contact with these wonderful people beyond that session. So is there anything in specific that you do to stay connected to your clients past, future, is there a way that you could stay connected with them?
Honestly, I follow them back on Instagram. That's the best way I know how to do it because everyone's on Instagram. Most of my clients are on Instagram. That's how they find me. And then when I comment on their photos when I see the babies and stuff. And even if I don't see them for a session for a while, we talk.
Yeah.
And so by the time I do see them, it's like we're playing catch up. And when you see an old friend, it's kind of you pick up where you left off. And I feel like that's how I stay connected. Now, not all my clients are on Instagram or even Facebook. So I've been working on an email list. But I don't want this email list to be like, hey, haven't seen you for a while, come book a session.
Exactly. Please don't do that, please.
So it's taken me some time because I really want it to be designed to connect with them. Like more, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. What's going on? This is what's happening in our life. Especially because I'm a mom of two. And so I'm realizing that a lot of the times I'm in a position where I can give my clients mom advice.
Right.
And I love that because we have something we could relate on. And I'm no longer TeAirra the photographer, but TeAirra the mommy friend. And we get to vent and talk about how our kids are driving us crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I want my email list to be. That's even where I would like to take my blog, just more of the ins and outs of being a mom, of being a single dad. Like I've met some single dads and they're like, hey, we get forgotten about a lot because everybody talks about the single mom. No one talks about the single dad. So I feel like I could even improve on how I connect with my clients outside of photography, but that is where I'm trying to take things.
Gotcha.
I do want to be more of the mommy friend when we're not working on portraits.
Well, I think it's great that you stay connected to them on Instagram, and then you take moments to kind of chat with them and things like that, because I think that really keeps that connection real and, authentic. Honestly, I think that really means a more longevity of a business. It just keeps your business going and keeps you going. For me, I just love when people are always cracking up at me because they're like, girl, you just called to ask me how I'm doing. Or you just text me. Yeah, because if I start talking to you about business all the time, you're going to get annoyed.
Right. Because you don't want to hear about, they paid for what they needed.
Right.
I know me as a consumer, I get irritated when people are in my inbox trying to sell me stuff all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So you mentioned, and I know because you are a mom of two, how do you balance your life and your business? Like, I know balance is different for everyone. Like, everybody might feel like we talk about this in a previous podcast about balance is not a blanket. Like, everybody knows, but once you've achieved this, then everybody's balance. Everyone's balance is different. So have you found ways to balance your life and your business?
The biggest way, so to answer the question, first of all, I don't think I've quite found balance.
Okay.
I'm still, the second baby, so with the first baby, I worked and, she went to daycare and things. And second baby, I stayed home with both of the kids. And I thought it would be, like on TV where the stay-at-home moms just kids, play and we do coloring and stuff. It's not like that at all. So I had to first learn to give myself grace and realize that the day isn't always going to go as I planned, especially staying home with an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. And some days things aren't going to get done, and I had to learn how to ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission. I think Jasmine says that, Jasmine Star.
Yeah.
And I picked that up from watching another one of her videos because it's so true. Like, I'm not perfect and I'm only human and I'm going to make mistakes, and I used to let those mistakes cripple me. I would be kind of ashamed to talk to my clients about, I'm sorry, I dropped the ball with this. And then I realized when I just was transparent about, hey, I know I'm a little bit behind on this deadline. My apologies. Here's how I can make it up to you. They're like, oh, no worries, TeAirra. Take your time. It's not that big of a deal. The world isn't going to end.
Right.
And the second part I think that's really big for me is finding my support. And I'm extremely blessed because my mom and my sister live next door to us.
Oh, girl, that's awesome.
Right. And I truly don't understand how single moms, single parents do it. My mom was a single mom, and I have so much more respect for her because I'm married. My husband's a great father. I have the support next door, and I still feel like I'm losing my mind sometimes. So, and there are times when they're not available. So I had to learn how, to call on my village. And it's amazing how if you can just ask for help, people show up. And I think sometimes, especially as solopreneurs, because our vision's our baby, and we want our business to be the way we picture it. So it's kind of scary to hand things over to people. But when you can, release it and trust that everything will work out, I feel like it's a lot less stressful and it's easier to find the balance because you prioritize better. And you have to make yourself a priority because you can't take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself.
Yes, I believe that so very much. I think growing up, I used to see people doing the opposite, where they would take care of people and neglect themselves, and then later on in life, they're dealing with that, and it's like, oh, I need to take care of myself. And it's so much harder to take care of anybody else because you need to focus on you for a moment, but it's the balance of taking care of you, because if you're broken down and you're emotionally drained and you're sick, you can't help anybody. So it's a really good thing that you have the support and you recognize that it's okay to need help. I think that's such a big part of small business owners, in particular women. I don't know why we kind of have this thing where we're like, we can do it all, and we are superwomen. We can do a lot. Like, no joke, we can do a lot. But that doesn't mean we need to do it all. It doesn't mean we have to do it all. It means we can delegate. It means we can say no. We can say yes. We can say, I'm sorry, right now I don't have time, but I can do it later. We can use those words and make those decisions so that we can take care of ourselves in order so that we can have a more balanced life with our family, our friends, our work, our businesses. So it is good that you recognize that that's an important piece of living.
Right.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries for sure.
Yes, definitely need boundaries. So what is the best advice that you've been given, whether it's as a mom or in your business? I know it's hard. And I've asked a couple other ladies this, and they're like, that's a big question. I don't know if I have one, but if you pick one, what would it be?
I have my one.
Oh, you
It's funny. It's very photography related, but I was able to apply it to the rest of my life, and that's why I love it.
Okay, awesome.
So when I first started, when I decided I wanted to specialize in maternity and newborn, I went to a workshop with a photographer by the name of Anna Brandt. She's a very big maternity and newborn photographer.
She is.
I love her. Oh my gosh. So I asked her, she took some one-on-one time with me, and I'm so excited because she took this one-on-one time with me. And I already knew the question I was going to ask. And I was like, Anna, how do you see light? And, I'm ready for this big, profound answer. And she says, TeAirra, you just got to keep shooting. And in time, you'll see light. And I wanted to be like, Anna, you can't cheat me out of this answer. That doesn't help. I need to know. And I had to sit with that for like a year. And, and so eventually I just started seeing light. I can look in a room now and it's almost as if light blares at me, and it's real easy for me. And that's the best advice I was given, because that's how you have to live your life. You're not going to learn to see the light, to see the greatness, to be able to appreciate all the things that are in life without just allowing yourself to live it and enjoy it and take it in day by day. Everything is a process, and we each have to go through our process. And if you try to rush that process, that's often when you end up falling on your face. You learn to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. And so whenever I feel myself overwhelmed, I literally think of that moment and tell myself, TeAirra, I'm just learning to see the light in this situation.
Wow. Wow, that is beautiful. And yes, wow, that's great advice. Great advice. I could kind of totally see your face, even though I can't see your face right now. But her saying that, and you're looking at her like, really? Really?
Right. I was so upset.
But, it is true that if you just keep going, and, it's really hard to see the positive things in life, and, but if you keep looking for them, or you keep going, I think that's
persevere. Yes.
Don't give up. Yeah. Don't give up. You can go far. You know what? You can go far. It's the reason why, what do they say? Like, just in general business, like, most people pivot in the first, year. And that's because, one, they probably didn't pivot and they just stopped looking. Like, they just gave up. And after the third year, usually most businesses succeed. Like, it's just that initial 3 years. And it's kind of the same thing with life in a way. It's like, the first couple of years might feel really tough, or that struggle you're going for. It might in that moment seem like impossible to end, like it's never going to end, but if you just keep going, it's going to get better. Just like if you're shooting, your image is going to get better because you're going to be more experienced. You're going to see the light. I just love that advice. It's just beautiful.
Yes. I hope it helps you too.
I think the audience will love it too. I think they will love it. So are there any tools and tricks that have helped you in your business or in your mommy life?
Okay. First, I think the biggest help I've gotten recently was I found a mentor. And I was lucky enough to where someone reached out to me early in my photography career. He was looking for a second shooter. And so he mentored me on the technical aspects of photography very well. Mm-hmm. But I found a business mentor, actually through a nonprofit, so I didn't have to pay for anything or anything like that. And she has been such a big help to not just my business, but she reminds me of balance so often. And I don't think I would have been able to figure some of the things out that I have without her. And I feel like everyone needs a coach, a mentor to just kind of guide them through those rough times. And then I would say like more of a technical help would be automation. Yeah. I started using 17 hats, and I like 17 hats. I might a little, just for some little technical things, I like to have control over stuff. But being able to have something where, you know, as a photographer, you have to send your quotes, your invoices, contracts, basic stuff that every single person asks for. And for a long time, I was typing everything out individually and even trying to copy and paste, and that took a long time. So with 17 hats, the templates are made. My email template systems are all down. In some cases, when it works, it actually sends them without me having to be there to send them. And that has freed up so much time and also taken off a lot of, you know, stress for me of having to worry about, oh, did I send that email? Did that contract go through? Did they get, you know, did they get what they need? And sticking with automation, using things like Planoly for my Instagram feed, being able to just sit down and plan out what my social media feed's going to look like, because it's so hard to show up every single day with a new idea.
Yeah.
You know? So definitely automation and mentorship. You know, we're constantly learning, and I think it's just great to remember that you never know everything.
This is so true. Those are great tips. Yeah, I like 17 hats. I've been getting into Dubsado.
Okay.
I think they have a lot of awesome templates for photographers too. So that's one to check out. And I'm just
going to have to email that one to me.
Yeah, I'll have to email it to you. And Planoly, I know everybody laughs at me when I talk about Planoly, but me and Planoly have like a love-hate relationship. I don't know if it's me. It's probably my brain, and I started using later before I even knew about Planoly. So my brain is like on the later, it's an Instagram, like planner / auto post, whatever. Love it. But everybody loves Planoly. So I was trying to discover whether or not I should do Planoly, and I'm just like, that's not for me. But I think a lot of people love Planoly. So it's definitely one I think everyone should check out.
Yeah, and I would definitely say, like, as an advice to when you're finding your tools, don't be afraid to try something that you might like better, you know?
Right.
I'm not thrilled over Planoly, but I've tried other apps, and I just keep coming back to Planoly. So I'll probably stick with Planoly.
Right.
But, you know, it's okay to experiment.
Exactly.
It's okay to experiment.
Not everything works for everyone. Our brains are all different in some way, shape, or form. Well, it has been a pleasure talking with you and hearing all of your stories and your amazing experiences. And tell us how we can find you online. Tell us how we can find you.
So my husband likes to say Google me. But anything you look for me is always TeAirra Mitchell, TeAirra Mitchell. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I hang out there quite often.
Awesome.
All right, ladies, thank you for listening, and I hope this conversation inspired you. Be sure to subscribe and tell a friend. That's it on this episode. And yes, you are crafted to thrive.